the sickness of Earth society, and the purpose of the Starseeds. I welcome you, and thank you for coming in to listen to me. I hope you are calm or quiet, and very well. If you are listening to this video, you probably already have enough level of awareness to have realized that all are perspectives, all are points of view, and there are as many realities as there are consciousnesses in the universe. Realities in which we should not interfere in an imposing or invasive way, and furthermore, even here there are countless different cultures and systems of values and ethics. Each society must be responsible for its own ethical code and cultural norms, starting with each individual working on himself. That is the only way for a society to move forward and evolve towards something positive, or at least to continue to exist. That being understood, I define Earth society in this way based on one simple factor: a clear and visible tendency towards self-destruction. Of course, all that I will discuss does not apply to everyone's experience, but to the generalized and more common experience there, and I am quite sure that the vast majority of you will identify with, or have managed to identify these facts in your life more than once. Let's take a very brief pass through a standard life for a starseed there, for example. The first few years of your life, if you are lucky, will be spent in an environment of love, care, protection, and harmony. However, and looking at where things are heading today, more and more often we see the tendency for a family to fracture, leaving the child early on with a great sense of helplessness, instability, and without access to its great pillars of protection, security, and emotional sustenance. It is also very common, when they are still growing up, to leave these children in the care of other people who are not their parents or close relatives due to lack of time, because they are too busy having to earn the necessary money to subsist, having a place to live, eat, and sleep. Later on, a problem begins to appear that will accompany the seed for a long, long time. And that is that the natural tendency of someone who unconsciously remembers to live gently and conscientiously in a peaceful society such as holistic, maintains his or her way of acting and living, and expects others to behave in the same way. Or rather, it does not expect others to act with cruelty and intolerance. We see how this problem, which has already existed for a long, long time, is now amplified or exaggerated due to the emergence of the internet at an early stage of everyone's lives there, where networks and various entertainment platforms pit people against each other, hidden behind a simple name, and train a young mind in cruelty, among many other things that the cabal already controls to guide them towards their multiple agendas. But what is it that drives people to attack seeds, or other more innocent people for that matter? Why laugh at someone, marginalize or attack them when that person has done nothing to them in the first place? While it may be to some extent the programming I was talking about previously, the fact is that the conclusion I come to, after much thought, is usually trauma of one kind or another. It is fear. Fear of being the target of criticism, of attacks, of ridicule. Fear of being alone. I remember something that someone dear to me said to me several times when I lived there. It was something along the lines of, "You're going to have a very bad time if you continue to be too good. You're going to suffer." Boy, was she right. And to this day, I even think that person didn't even know at what level she was right. Nobody wants to suffer. And as a survival mechanism, they use the "not me" strategy, and they point everything they have at someone else. The more afraid they are, the more cruel they are. Anyone who demonstrates underdeveloped social skills, too much innocence, or too much light for where they were born is punished. But social skill is the ability to adapt to that environment, and it is not a symptom of health to be well adapted to a sick society. So much so, that sometimes even adults punish these children, because they cannot come to understand that they are not trying to challenge them for simply laughing too much, asking innocent questions, or expressing a different opinion than would be expected. They can't come to see that such people exist, because in their life they have encountered the complete opposite experience, and were treated that way. As they continue to grow, something even sadder happens. And that is that the seed itself, because of how it was treated throughout its life simply for being, develops a deep rejection of itself that often leads even to depression and isolation. And sometimes, this rejection of oneself ends up translating into a rejection of others as well, without even realizing it. Have you ever felt shame or rejection, watching someone else be as innocent as you once were? Well, there you have your rejection of yourself. Isn't the dark, the gloomy, the sad, the aggressive, and the rough associated with the adult? Isn't everything that is too bright, innocent, cheerful, soft, and clean taken as childish? 2 films. In one we see a very beautiful animation created with the work and enthusiasm of a great team of people. In that film certain things happen and certain ups and downs that can make us feel sad or happy, but never give us a feeling of unease, terror, or aggression. Finally, everything is resolved and a big happy ending brings the film to a close. Second film. Grey tones, hard plot. Pain. Suffering. Violence. Horror. A tragic ending that leaves you with a bad feeling. Which of the two is considered adult? Why relate adult to all those things? The darkest and saddest things are related to something more adult, and happiness and innocence as something totally childish, when precisely those things, those energies, those attitudes, are the ones that raise the frequency of their environment, and very strongly. Why does embarrassment or rejection of things that are too bright appear? For several reasons. The most important for me are, first of all, and as I said, the fear of suffering, or of being mistreated again, because what predominates or the dominant frequencies are what they are. And secondly, and this is the worst, the very desire of many of these people, who find greater emotion or greater interest in pain, darkness, suffering. On the one hand, the Galactic Federation is right here. It is the people themselves who choose to follow that path, and continue to collectively manifest a hostile and unpleasant world of constant struggle and emotional wear and tear, which eventually translates into physical wear and tear as well, sooner or later. However, if you put a carrot in front of the donkey from the moment it leaves the stable until it returns, it will only see the carrot and its bed. Light exists down there, and for the most part it exists in the form of starseeds. You are the light you seek in that world. You are the counterpart of that darkness, whenever you choose to be. Every moment of your life is an opportunity where you choose to shine, or give in. You are the light that must exist there and offer that alternative, for whoever is wise enough to choose that path, and stop looking at the carrot they have been following since they were little. In my opinion, I would say that if they really wanted to let humanity choose its own path, the Galactic Federation would not guide it into negativity with such care. Nor would they impose any kind of reality with lies, because they are objectively lies, many of them. Nor would they censure or punish those who have done and continue to do so for exposing such lies and sowing a light. Whomever wants to give you a choice to learn on your own, offers. Lets you be. Whomever wants to guide your perception, imposes. Censors. Will tell you not to listen. Not to speak. Not to act. Not to follow your heart. And furthermore, they will say it is for the greater good. For the good of humanity, for your good, for protecting or nurturing the promise of something that never comes. So today, knowing that in the earthly context it suffers to be the light, and having already been through it, I still choose to be the light. A light that has learned to defend itself. For whoever chooses to listen to this reality and think about whether, perhaps, it comes close to what these people perceive, desire, or pursue. And the earthly context is not limited to just the seeds incarnated on earth, but to all those involved and around it. For a person to overcome an illness, it is absolutely necessary for them to work on healing themselves, working on themselves and taking care of their attention and their ideas. But sometimes, when it is already too much, they also need, in addition to that, someone to give them a hand, and not to make them sicker. There it is. A big hello to all of you. Za'el of Error.